Do you take life too seriously? Hi, I'm Anne-Margaret with this week's Sacred Sunday message to raise the vibration of your body, mind, and spirit. I know I'm guilty of this. I know you're guilty of this because this is something that most humans, if not all of us, struggle with. Taking life way too seriously. And today we're going to examine how we sacrifice the miraculous moments of being present, the blessings, the miracles, the joys, the pleasure, the love in our life, because we're taking life too seriously. We're placing too much significance on our role in life. We're placing way too much significance on the pain in life and suffering, and forgetting to balance it out with playfulness, with the inner childlike sense of awe at the world. So thanks for joining me. We're going to dive deeply today because too many of us are really suffering by feeling the weight of the world on our shoulders, or feeling like we're powerless to do anything in the face of what we see in the world today. So thanks for joining me. So I'm wearing a Barbie shirt for the talk today. And while I'm not going to tell you why, it's an inside joke between my husband, Anthony, and I. And makes me laugh all the time. Like, it makes me laugh wearing this shirt because it reminds me of all of the jokes that we share as husbands and wives do, right? As partners do, as really good friends, have all these insider jokes. It, for me, brings out my inner child and brings up all of those hilarious moments that we share in relationship to the insider jokes around us. So for you, there are things in your life that you don't allow yourself to be seen wearing, maybe, or to speak out, or to be goofy, or to feel silly around because you're worried about how people are going to perceive you. I've got the same fear. We all have life happening. I've got this interruption right now of geese squawking outside my window as I'm trying to do this talk. And life is like that, isn't it? We can't control all of the unpredictable facets of our existence. Some of us are deluded into thinking that if we cut all the people out of our lives who are causing us pain or discomfort in some way, that we'll be happy. It doesn't work like that, does it? We cannot avoid discomfort in this life. We cannot avoid pain. We can't avoid trauma, but we can choose how we relate to all of it. So don't get caught in that trap of delusion. Part of being human is experiencing pain, is experiencing trauma, is experiencing disappointment. It's experiencing things that we don't want to happen. And we look around at the world, and some of us, our inner children, are having tantrums, watching what's going on around us, like this shouldn't be. And what impact that's having on us is horribly traumatizing. We don't realize we're self-victimizing through these beliefs. Now, this isn't to say that your inner archetype of the advocate cannot be awakened at this time and choose to make your own difference in the world, to speak up, to speak out against injustices, to bring awareness around things in the world that you think are things that can be remedied in some way or brought more into the limelight, and that you have a choice to make your own impact around. However, if you're allowing that advocate archetype to dip into the shadow aspect of its expression, you might be taking the weight of the world on your shoulders as if you are God, as if you have the power in your hands to be the conductor of the world, and that the world needs to be in accordance to how you see it. This is such a huge trap. And there is this advocate archetype has us really stir up the passions in our life to make a difference in the world and help others, which is a beautiful thing. But it also has that shadow aspect where you feel like your way of seeing things is the answer. for everybody. And you forget the autonomy, the sovereignty, the free will that exists within each human. Where does this come from? When we are about 5 to 8 years old, and that's where we really, we have a lot of fun with kids this age because they're so playful, they're so creative, they're so uninhibited with their playfulness and their giggles. We talk about how many times kids laugh per day versus adults. They have a sense of awe about them and playfulness and curiosity and freedom that as adults we feel liberated around. We feel like when we're around kids, how much fun can we have if we allow ourselves to have that fun and let go of that adulting significance of our ego or how we're being seen or how we're identifying. And when we're 5 to 8 years old, we go through a change and we're developing what's called the second chakra. It's the energetic center having to do with that inner child, having to do with our sense of playfulness and our sense of creativity. It's during this time where a lot of kids in our country, in America, go to school and go from the home of making mistakes and getting corrected and learning right from wrong and good from bad, but just learning that in their own homes to learning it amongst others, amongst strangers, amongst colleagues, amongst new friends, amongst teachers, and failing or learning that you're wrong or learning what's bad amongst other people. And there begins to get a little bit of self-awareness during that time of entering school where maybe we're shamed for not getting it right because our teacher has a little lack of self-awareness about how to set us on course. And they project their own fractured aspects of their inner child. Or maybe it's the parent that does that. We're never going to escape this world of being very really human, right? And dealing with other humans who have their own blind spots. But during that age, we begin to kind of take a little step back with our self-expression. We still have that element of play, but when we're learning how to domesticate into other groups of people and our sense of others, we begin to self-reflect a little bit more about how we're being perceived. And this only intensifies between the ages of 8 and 12. You can pay me enough to go back to junior high in that preteen time because it is a challenging time for kids. Between 8 and 12, there is a very real clickiness that happens with identity, a sense of belonging. That if you wear this outfit, I can remember, the way that kids were judged based on not being able to afford maybe what other kids are wearing, and that's like, oh, I'm a part of this group because I wear this shirt or I wear this brand, or that can be a very superficial pressure on identity at that age. We can also learn a lot of identities around intelligence, being in the smart classes, not being in the smart classes, gifted and talented programs, being rewarded or shamed for grades that we're getting at that time, being a part of the jock crowd, playing sports or being physically agile or active, or not being, or being more creative, or being a part of other aspects of self-expression. And all of this begins to chip away, this domestication begins to chip away at our freedom of self-expression. Like, who are you not to be? I love that Marianne Williamson quote. Like, who are you not to be in this world? Where do we start putting confines on our self-expression, on our freedom to be just as we're choosing to be? And all of that puts weight on our happiness, because our happiness comes from the deep acceptance, the freedom around our own self-expression, and just allowing ourselves the love and the space to be us. So, Ernest Hemingway has a great quote, one of my favorite quotes. He said, "Happiness in intelligent people is the rarest thing I know." Happiness in intelligent people is the rarest thing I know. When we think about intelligence, around this time, and it just gets worse as we get older, We want to be included. We don't want to be rejected. We don't want to be ostracized for not knowing things, whether it be how to act, whether it be the right answers, whether it be the cool music that we should know about, or whatever it is. We don't want to experience the feeling of ridicule, rejection, ostracization. That's something that if we do not get a handle on as adults, we will forever perpetuate this fear of how we're being perceived. When we're 8 to 12, we're developing our ego. This is how we're being seen. Our fear of getting things wrong, our fear of being seen as stupid, or a fear of being seen as maybe smart. I was skipped the first grade. I had a huge fear around being the nerd in the class. Huge fear. So it can work with anyone, regardless of circumstance. And when we measure this intelligence, we start learning things, and then we start criticizing our parents because we think we know more than them, right? And we should go our own way. I'm not saying that we should just go in the way that our parents have carved, right? That's our sovereignty, our own free will to discover the world in the way that we choose. However, the ego wraps around this identity of the intellect, this archetype of the intellect. And we get a false sense of superiority, like, oh, I know this and they don't, so I'm better. And we get this false sense of empowerment, this extrinsic empowerment, meaning like we feel like we can dominate others or we're better than them. And we partake in this feeling of separateness. And we miss the true sense of intrinsic empowerment, which is connected to our oneness. Being an example of the intrinsic empowerment is serving others, is doing for others. Some people might say, oh, that's servant archetype, and I don't want to be the servant, I want to be the master. They're missing this beautiful intrinsic empowerment that comes from service. Those of you who are volunteered, who have been advocates for others with a true heart of service, understand what I mean by this. When you're doing for others, you're lending a helping hand rather than shaming them or looking down on them. So when Ernest Hemingway says, intelligent happiness and intelligent people is the rarest thing I know, we measure intelligence, the IQ of people, by how much they know. And we even measure the EQ, the emotional quotient or the emotional intelligence of others based on how much they're aware of their own emotional awareness, how they can read the emotions of others. That's another way of relating to emotional intelligence, how to be adulting in our emotional bodies. But what we don't measure, which I think is a great disservice, is our SQ, our spiritual quotient, our spiritual intelligence. And we don't measure this because I feel like collectively we don't really get it yet. We're not really there. It took us a while to go from IQ to EQ, and I think it's taking us a while to go from EQ to SQ because we don't recognize the practical aspects of applying spirituality, of understanding that it's not just about how much you know. It's not just about advocating when you see something going on in the world, but it's about understanding what this world is about in the first place. So many of us stop our laughter and our happiness because we see things in the world that we have concluded are not okay and shouldn't be. We have this false belief about the world that it's broken, that something is not right. And if we related to our lives, our being human, the same way we relate to games, the same way we relate to creative projects, like we don't look at a ball of yarn and go, this isn't okay, I need to make a sweater. We say, oh, this is an opportunity to have materials to create something creatively that I can wear and keep me warm. We don't play a video game, and I'm back in like the Super Mario Brothers time. I know I'm dating myself, but I like those games much better than the shoot 'em up, guns, and war video games that really dominate today. But we don't go into like Super Mario playing land and get upset because they're emotionally upset and distraught because there are turtles throwing axes at us. We just go, ooh, it's a challenge. How do I get around him? Or how do I get rid of him? Or move beyond him and save the princess? We embrace it. We don't get emotionally distraught because of the challenge. We just go, oh, there's the challenge. I need to overcome it. And how do I do that? We don't enter the football stadium and get on the field to play our soccer game or to play our tennis match and get upset because there's a challenger. That's what sports is. It's a challenge. It's an overcoming of your opponent, having the dexterity, the strength, the agility, the mastery of the mind to be able to get on the field or get on the court and overcome your opponent. And it's exciting. It's fun. We get a lot of pleasure out of that engagement. So why don't we bring the same element to our lives? We learn very early on, a false way of seeing the world. Like the traumas in the world shouldn't be. Like pain should be avoided rather than examined, rather than extracted, alchemized, and receiving the blessings and the lessons from those traumas and that pain. And when Ernest Hemingway says happiness and intelligence in intelligent people is the rarest thing I know, it's because the spiritually intelligent, the spiritually masterful understand that pain, that suffering, that trauma in the world is just a part of this reality. And it's that which challenges us, that gets us to master our own experience of being human. That helps us get strong mentally, strong emotionally, strong spiritually, so that we can truly experience the miracles, the magic, the love in this world. And then when we experience the pain, when we experience the shadow aspect of our lives, we can utilize that to call forth the inner advocate, to say, ooh, this is inspiring me, this pain I'm seeing in the world. It's inspiring me to speak up. It's inspiring me to know myself as a creator in this world, an advocate in this world, that I can do something about it. But we don't have to sit there and have a tantrum about what's happening in the world. We can just use it as a call to action, as a call to awaken purpose in our lives, and then enjoy fully the awareness and the embodiment of that purpose within us. That here is our contribution, rather than allow the weight of what's happening in the world to be on our shoulders. This is huge. And happiness, allowing ourselves to experience happiness, it's almost like, how dare you be happy when this is going on in the world? That's a very immature, spiritually immature way to look at things. It's like people who first learn about, Mercury retrograde in astrology and go, Mercury retrograde is coming, and are so terrified of it and let it control their inner sense of sovereignty, their power, rather than going, ooh, this is an opportunity of energy in the world that is nudging me to complete projects that I've left undone. And go, thank you for that wave of energy of be aware, be mindful, complete those tasks that need to be completed. Maybe don't start a bunch of other things right now, but focus on that aspect of your reality. This too applies to trauma, rather than, and I know so many times that I've felt this myself before I understood how this worked. And I also experienced it from a lot of my students who would say, oh my God, you're so insightful. You have all these great things to bring to the world. You seem so at peace. You must never have experienced real trauma. Haven't we done that with people? Like, how are they so happy? Oh God, they're so lucky. They have that marriage, or they don't understand the work that goes work that goes on behind the scenes to find that freedom, to find that alignment, to find that sense of peace. Look at the people who have been through the hardest things you can imagine in this world. They've either gone the route of getting very bitter, or they've gone the route of allowing themselves to blossom in that resistance, so that they can truly appreciate the moment and don't take it for granted. They take their relationship for granted until they realize that they could lose it, and then go through hardships. And if they come out on the other end of things, they appreciate that relationship so much more than they would have ever before going through that. So it's a false belief that we have of people that we see that are happy or motivated or doing things in the world. And then we use that false belief, oh, they must have had a leg up. They must have a silver spoon that was born in their mouth, right? They must have this or that. And we use it to keep ourselves small. We use it to make excuses for ourselves, to keep perpetuating that self-victimization rather than be curious about it. No, they use their pain. They use the trauma that they experience in their life to alchemize the lessons and turn it into an awareness of the filter of looking at the world through love, through seeking the miracles, through seeking out what's right in the world rather than just focusing on what's wrong, to recognize that they have the strength of ego to believe in themselves, to do something in the world, to co-create with other humans, to co-create with God, what can be done to create more beauty in the world. Not to eliminate pain, because that is an aspect of this reality, but to do whatever we can to bring light and to bring love into the world. So if you're feeling that weightedness and you're allowing it to interrupt your current happiness, and we say current like current events, things that are happening right now, but that word is so magical if you think about it. Current also relates to a river, right? A river of water, a river of energy. It's the flow. And we say, I want to stay in the flow of life, right? I want to stay in the present moment. It's allowing that to always move in your life, to receive the circumstances in your life and alchemize them as they move through you, to feel the emotional upset or pleasure or whatever it is. Let it move through you and fully experience it in the moment. To recognize that that's what we have control over. We can't control life being painful. Like, we can control the suffering around it by not perpetuating that, by not resisting that. So being like a child is remembering that we always have that inner child within us. We can laugh more and enjoy the pleasures in life. And yes, there can still be monstrosities in the world. But if we're robbing ourselves of those moments, we are limiting our capacity for pleasure, for life, for love, for appreciating this beautiful planet and the relationships and all of the miracles that we're experiencing every day. So have courage, allow that inner child to keep you silly, keep you self-expressed, and to recognize when you're muzzling that self-expression because you're super concerned about what other people think. Life's too short. Life's too short. And you have too much capacity within you to be crushed by the weight of the world. That's not what you're designed here to do. Be intentional, be purposeful, recognize the gift that you are in the world. But remember that it's not yours alone to save. Do your part and do it with joy, with happiness, and with laughter. Thanks so much for joining me. And until next time, keep raising the vibration. Bye, everybody.